What's up, guys? Welcome back to The Pitch. I'm Adam.
And I'm Bree.
And today we're going to be discussing some topics that are going on in the world of soccer, literally in the world of soccer. We're going to talk about some international stuff, as well as some stuff more close to home. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it to Bree and let you get us started.
So let's get started. Right now, we are in the World Cup qualifiers 2018 for the Men's World Cup.
Exciting stuff.
Right now, we've got a lot of teams in the qualifiers playing, and we just want to give you sort of a heads up of some players to watch out for. Today, Sunday, September 4th, Slovakia is taking on England, and we want to keep an eye on the center back, Gary Cahill.
Yes.
And he is of Chelsea fame, number 15. Playing that center back position, he's looking to make a big move into the World Cup, so keep an eye on number 15. We also have Denmark and Armenia coming up. You can see defender player Andreas Christensen. He's known for being Borussia's player of the season over the team captain last year.
Awesome.
So keep an eye on him.
Exciting.
He's looking to make a big move for Denmark. Lastly, Spain is taking on Liechtenstein on Monday, September 5th. You can watch Diego Costa from the former Atletico Madrid and new Chelsea team player. Right. Costa's known for being this controversial transfer, right? He didn't have a great Atletico career, but then Chelsea debut performance, he scores a goal. So keep an eye out on him. He's making a huge comeback. Finally, Tuesday, you can catch the Eden Hazard, the attacking midfielder for the Blues for Chelsea, known for his exponential evolution of his career, starting off again sort of controversial, but now is regarded as one of the top performing players in the world. So you've got a slew of games this week. That's just a handful of them, a few players to look out for. It's worldwide right now. You've got the qualifiers.
Turn on and tune in.
If you're Olympic, if you've got a sort of hunger for more Olympic-style competition, it's not over. It's just in a different sector.
Right, exactly.
And again, these are just a handful of the top players on screen right now that are sort of making this move to make a big impact.
Yep. These are people you'll probably see later on in the World Cup. So if you're into that sort of thing, you can get to see them right now and follow their story. If
you're playing FIFA, I would also go ahead and put them in your Ultimate team.
Right.
This week, we sort of wanted to talk about this weird subject. We talk a lot directly about soccer, what's happening. Like just now, we're talking about different players, how they're performing, and things like that. But there's this other side of soccer that you, me, the fans, it's what we are. We are the fans. We're not on the pitch. And there's something that happens when your team wins. You call it your team. You take possession of it, right? If they win and the 11 players and subs who come out there and play, they played, literally. Right. But then they win. What do we say? We won, right?
They're the players, we're the spectators, but it's all about the team.
Right.
Yeah, and we have ownership in that.
And you feel a part of it.
Yep.
So we really wanted to dive into that, and so we're going to throw it to Meighan Julbert from the Meighan side here in Birmingham. The Meighan side is a sports psychology center working with kids as young as 8. They also work with coaches, parents, anyone who's a part of the game and needs that mental understanding, which really wasn't a big part of soccer until within the past couple of years, 5-10 years. It's known that players like Carly Lloyd had this major transformation. Julie Johnston, the same thing, for going, not only getting their physical, tactical, and technical side of the games improved, but taking the extra step to realize that the mental part of the game is huge. There's always going to be self-doubt in a human,
of course,
in a player. You look at Lionel Messi missing that shot and immediately saying he's going into retirement, only to find out later it's really not what's happening. You look at basketball players like Michael Jordan. You can look at Brett Favre. Are they in? Are they out? And either way, there's this emotional attachment.
Emotional attachment and a huge mental part of it too.
Absolutely.
It's a head game in a lot of ways, and especially for these big megastars that have a lot going on, have a lot of pressure on them. But you see that also too in the developmental stages, like we said. Kids as young as 8 working with the Meighan side, you can see some of those things develop. So they're doing some really cool stuff, and they're able to break down parts of the game and parts of a player that normally might not be addressed on the field or in practice. So it takes another look, a different kind of look at what's going on, and provides some really cool insight.
Absolutely. So we're going to throw it over to Meighan.
Yep.
We're on the phone right now with Meighan Julbert from the Meighan side. And she is a mental skills consultant. And also, we love you because you're an Auburn alum.
Absolutely. War Eagle, right back at you.
So I wanted to talk to you about both the athletic mindset and also the mindset of a fan. So what is, and how could you describe an athletic mindset?
Well, there are different things at different levels that we at the Mind side really work on developing a mindset that's going to be beneficial for in competition. Just in a couple things. I mean, coming ready to perform, whether it's in practice or in competition. And within that, you're gonna experience downfalls. You're gonna experience the road bumps of games, practice, of a season, and really of your evolution as an athlete. So we really teach how to face those challenges and that adversity and how to work through them. That's a huge thing that really is beneficial in having an athletic mindset that's going to benefit you on the field, as well as, if you're working within a team environment, being able to work with one another and being able to understand what your role is on the team. But there are multiple areas that we could really go into that are important as far as the athletic mindset of someone trying to compete. But those are huge ones. Being ready to go out there and grind in a game, being willing to understand your opponent, and being willing also to be vulnerable and kind of lay it all out on the line, even when you don't know if the outcome is going to become what you want it to be. The outcome's always uncertain. So you have to be willing to be vulnerable and lay it all out on the line, regardless of what the outcome is. And that's kind of, as far as an athletic mindset, what we really try to teach here.
When do you start noticing that athletes start needing that cultivation of the athletic mindset? Does it start, because a lot of people start sports at, 4 and 5. How do you, there's got to be some natural evolution that happens, learning teamwork and sharing and awareness of your surroundings. When does that, I guess what I'm asking is, when does that self-doubt start creeping in?
Yeah, absolutely. There definitely is. There are phases, really, that athletes go through. At a younger age, they're learning the love for the sport. They're out there to enjoy it. They're learning life lessons and learning and getting a little bit of an awareness to the skills that we teach. So, I've worked with players as young as 8, but at that point, you're just sort of introducing these things. You're introducing these skills and strategies that you need to be what most people would term as mentally tough on the field, right? But then when they get to about that age, around 12, really is usually when we see kind of that switch. They learn, what does losing mean? What do these challenges mean? And they're faced with more challenges, whether that's physically and learning the technical aspects of the game, or whether that's mentally as well. And of course, those overlap in a lot of areas. But we really see that shift around the age of 12. And so at that point, we might not be hitting the big stuff, right? We might not be hitting the things that the professionals are dealing with, but you still see pressures. You still have pressures at a younger age of, what are the fans going to think? What are my parents going to think? They're here for me. They're supporting me. So how do I need to play to be able to make sure that I'm meeting their needs and making sure they're happy? Yeah, at a professional level, at a collegiate level, you have maybe a larger fan base, right? But you still have the same kind of pressure. So that's really when we see kind of a little bit of a shift in the demands that are necessary for the athlete.
Does that, in your opinion, that connection to, well, first your parents, and again, like you said, at a collegiate and professional level, you're impacting people you don't even know. What is that connection? How do fans, even at parents and family and school friends, all the way up to, filling out stadiums in Europe, what is that connection that fans have to the players, and how do fans affect the game?
Oh, it's a very powerful one. And most players use it to their advantage, and I would say it goes both ways. For an athlete, you're impacting lives, and you can see it just here recently with the Olympics, you've got athletes who are speaking about, I love going to talk to these young kids. I love the fact that I can impact someone's life and make a difference. And that's done in the sport arena, but that's done also in how they're engaging with fans outside of it. So you feel this as an athlete. You feel this drive, yes, to want to compete, to want to excel, to succeed, but you also feel a drive because you know that there are, whether it's 2 people or thousands of people, are out there supporting you. And they're the ones who helped you really get to that level. And you feel a love for them even if you don't necessarily know them personally. And then from a fan standpoint, I mean, you're dialed in. You find your players that you love, whether that's because of personality off the field or whether that's because of their tenacity on the field. And there's a relationship that sports really builds. And even if you don't know someone personally, you can all find, whether it's athlete or fan, you find that relationship with that person. And you feel like you're a part of their life. You've watched them play. You've supported them. It's a very mutual relationship. And when it's used as a benefit, I think it really helps athletes. And obviously as fans, it's exciting to be a part of it. You speak about, I went to Auburn, right? When I was there, mm-hmm. I felt like I was a part of the family, right?
Absolutely.
You bleed orange and blue. You love the players. You love what they stand for. And you, even though you're not on the field, and this goes for most fans, even if you're not out there with them, you feel like maybe you haven't put in just as much hard work as them, but you feel their pain when
sure.
they lose, when they struggle. You are excited for them when you've got a player who hasn't been performing well, and all of a sudden has that breakthrough. So you feel a relationship, and it's exciting, right?
Right. I mean, I think, too, that's why so many people, you see that fantasy leagues just booming in every single sport you can imagine, right? And giving people that even more direct connection, not only to players, but now sort of an administrative role that you connect with. I think that's really interesting as well. I'm thinking about super hardcore fans. People who, like me, probably, I fall in that category, where, my news app always has soccer as a tag. Just so I can see what's happening. I want to be informed. I'm engaged, for sure. What's going on when I'm so attached to the player, and then there's a transition? They retire, they're released, they become a free agent, anything like that where it's sort of up in the air. I get that feeling of up in the air. Why is that?
Oh, it's because you've developed a relationship with them. Whether, like I said, whether you know them personally or not, and you've interacted with them one-on-one, you've seen them grow. You've seen them develop. You've sat there on the edge of your seat as you're waiting. If it's soccer, you sat there on the edge of your seat waiting to see, well, is this PK going to go in or not?
Right.
So you've been there for them, and you've developed that relationship, and you develop that sense of caring, right? And
right.
So if a player leaves or is injured or steps out of the sport for any reason, it can be a challenge for a fan to deal with, because on the flip side, you know that it's a challenge for that player to deal with. You know that they've invested a lot into the sport. They've invested time. They've made sacrifices, and it can be challenging to know that, for one, they're not going to be out there still, but for two, to know that you're not going to be able to see them in the same light that you could before.
I was just thinking that. Yes.
Yeah. As a fan, I mean, I can understand it, right? Even and whether you're super fans can be all kinds of fans. They can love the sport for all different reasons, love individual athletes for all different reasons. But whether it could be as simple as your favorite collegiate player is not playing anymore at that school. If they've graduated, they've moved on to bigger and better things, they're still going to be sad even though they've moved on to bigger and better things. But you're also going to be challenged because you care about them, you watch them out there, you support them. And in dealing with that, I mean, you're dealing with a little bit of the same struggle that they're dealing with in their exit or their time off. You definitely you feel that, even if it's to a lesser degree.
And finally, as a coach and as a former player who I connect with this, I'm really almost obsessed with this boom in sports psychology because I was absolutely not aware of something like that when I was playing, and as I read about it, I feel like I could have really benefited from somewhere like the mind side. What advice do you have for players who have maybe that disconnect from that athletic mindset, but they have the drive, they have the tenacity, they just hit the wall and they can't break through?
Biggest thing is to not be afraid of trying something different. I know that I actually was speaking with someone the other day about their child being really, really nervous to do this kind of thing because, and partially it's a little bit on us as practitioners in sports psychology, because there's this thought that it's foreign. There's this thought that it's scary, or I've got a problem if I work on my mental game. It's a weakness, right? Because before it's been seen as that way. Now we see the Olympians verbally admitting to using someone. We see collegiate players. We see our idols actually willing to commit to using someone to work on their mental side. And I would encourage players to just realize, I mean, the people that I work with here at the Mind Side, they're athletes first. It's not, we're dealing with how do we perform better on the field? How do we use our mind to work for us? You've got all the tools. I promise. Most athletes do. They have all the tools. It's just figuring out the right key that's going to unlock the toolbox and really get them competing at a higher level. And sometimes it takes a different perspective and someone who's been working within the field.
Thank you, Meighan, so much for talking with us this week. I feel so much more informed, and honestly, I feel a little bit more passionate about the sport after talking with you. I didn't know that could happen. I'm pretty passionate about soccer, and I think it's awesome to learn about, like you said, this sort of, it's blossoming, but sort of undervalued side of the sport that plays such a huge role. You know, when you look at a lot of the soccer players who come out and actually say, you know, I worked with someone about my mindset. I just think that's so great. It's available right here in Birmingham. And like you said, you were working with people as young as 8. I think that's really beautiful. So thank you so much for talking with us. Thank you for the work that you do. And I heard you guys have a podcast. Would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, we have a podcast. It's hosted by Dr. Brett McCabe, who is also the other practitioner in this office. You guys can find it's called the Mind Side Podcast. And then too, I mean, if anyone's wanting to check out more information, we have a website, themindside.com, as well as for the younger audiences, we got a Twitter account, the Mind Side. And then if you want to follow me personally, mine's Meighan Julbert, although that's hard to spell, MEIGHAN JULBERT. But yeah, I've loved this. I'm really passionate about soccer too, so I'm glad that you had me on. It was an honor, and I trust me, when I'm out at the field working with my soccer athletes, that most of them, they get it. They do. And it's really cool to see when things start clicking and they start realizing that, what's going on in my head is an extra tool. It's an extra resource for me to use when I'm out on the field to be smarter and better prepared than my opponent. So I've loved talking to you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day, and I hope that we get to speak with you again.
Great. Thank you.
So again, thank you, Meighan. Thank you, The Mindside. You can check out their website. They also have a podcast, which is great for parents, players, fans to check out and sort of understand that connection, again, between taking ownership of a player, having that emotional attachment to them. And we wanted to talk about a few stories this week that sort of play into that. You've got, on the funny side of things, you got Neymar Jr. just coming off a World Cup win, right? Yep. Playing with Barcelona. Playing with Barcelona this week, he gets bombarded by rushers on the field. I've seen it happen. You've seen it happen. Rushers happen. Why? Because we want to get so close to that player. Yep. And what I love is the players rush the field. They go over to them. Of course, they're running around, trying to outrun security. They get up to Neymar. They give him a hug. Security gets him off. They're holding him back by the arms, right? What does Neymar do? Class act guy. Says something to them. We don't really know what, of course, was pretty far away. Gives them a nice little pat on the cheek like that. And then lets security take them away. But that's going to be something that they're looking forever.
Such a cool moment.
Absolutely. So that's one example of like what Meighan's talking about. Another one being, transitions of players, even if it's a little thing. Like right now, Wayne Rooney going and surpassing the iconic, absolutely legendary David Beckham.
What an achievement.
For being the most capped player on the England national team. Yeah. He's also on this micro level making a transition from being this world-renowned midfielder to being a striker, taking that leadership position on the team and at Man U. So especially with Abramovich going, you've got more and more leadership on Man U this season. Seeing that transition in Wayne Rooney might be a little bit interesting. Does it have anything to do with another player? Does that interfere with how you feel about another player?
Definitely something to keep track of.
Absolutely. And then, there's the sadder side of things. We have this iconic U.S. women's national team player, Lauren Holiday, married to the New Orleans NBA player, Dre Holiday, who recently found out this morning that she's got a luckily benign brain tumor, but in the middle of her pregnancy. Yeah. And even though that has nothing to do with the world of soccer, there's definitely that attachment, at least on my end, and all over my Facebook wall today of reaching out. How do you reach out and tell her that you care? Right. And that sort of thing.
Definitely want to support her through that.
Another U.S. women's example, I think the next three might be U.S. women's example. We're losing Heather O'Reilly on the international stage. Heather O'Reilly, of course, known for taking that number 9 jersey from Meighan. Right. So this is Heather O'Reilly, the woman who stepped in after Meighan, known for that hey-o game face, known for just being this effervescent player. Yeah. And, she's always going to continue to be that player. She was an alternate for the Olympics, didn't have much in the World Cup. And that's, it could be an administrative thing. Yeah. It's obviously not a play thing because she is going to continue playing for FC Kansas City, which tonight takes on our friend Caroline Stanley at FC. They're at FC Kansas City taking on Sky Blue. Right. So again, how do you transition to only being able to see your player on one stage, the professional stage?
There's definitely that passing of the torch that occurs. I mean, all those people who loved watching Meighan got to then become Heather O'Reilly fans. Absolutely. So there's that opportunity now for the next person to step in. And that's a really cool thing as a fan, to be able to sort of move on from one player to the next and get to know somebody new, get to know their different, personality aspects and aspects of their play style and their game.
And emotionally try not to hold the new player responsible to fill the shoes of someone else. Let them be their own player, And I think that sort of boils down to our final sort of what I'm going to call the Hope Solo dilemma, because it is. I know personally when everything was coming out recently about her termination, the contract, the media attention, it's such polar opposite attention. You've got some people saying it was outrageous to say such things on an international stage. You have other people saying it wasn't even a word you had to bleep. Why are you so caught up? And that end of the spectrum is also saying that this is a very sexist situation, that it would never have happened to a men's team. I would point out that when Clint Dempsey, though it was in a pro setting, ripped a ref's book in half. He got a 3-day suspension, and Jurgen Klinsmann went to bat for him and said this will absolutely not affect him on the international stage. And here you have Hope Solo, completely reasonably distressed after a game.
Absolutely.
Where she did not play her best performance. But let's remember that right before this, she got 100 shutouts, 100 games in a row, not a score on her. And this is 2 games where she didn't play at peak performance, and now she's off. Are you going to hold her timeline against her? Are you going to believe that people can change? I don't know what happened in the 2-hour interview or the 2-hour meeting with the CEO, Dan Flynn, and head coach Jill Ellis. I don't know. But I can say as a fan, it's heartbreaking not only to see, again, that person that you're attached to sort of get this attention both negatively and so quickly. A 2-hour decision determining someone's 17-year career.
Right.
I'm sure it's not the first time. I'm sure it won't be the last.
Right.
But I think what it comes down to is you have a top-notch performing player who has outperformed every other player in the world until a month ago.
Right.
And then you're going to say that we don't need her. She's expendable now because of her personal life. When if U.S. soccer's really digging into what's going on here, let's really work on what matters on the stage, on the international stage, and that's a high level of competition. Let's get our youth programs organized. Let's get all of this happening and on the right track so that we're not stuck in this situation where we have someone who's dedicated 17 years, pretty much played every game for 17 years, and now we're stuck with 2 alternatives with as many caps as I can have on my hand.
Right.
You know, we're kind of stuck in a situation. That's the dilemma for me. Not am I going to support Hope Solo. Not am I going to keep wearing the T-shirt in public. Not my opinions on her, which are really not relevant to what's happening.
Yeah, I think everybody can come to their own conclusion about what they feel in terms of whether or not it was justified for U.S. Soccer to do what they did. But yeah, there's some undeniable facts. I mean, Hope Solo, unbelievable contributor for the past 17 years. But the thing is, it's a team sport, and we want to make sure that the U.S. soccer team is the best that it can possibly be. And, you know, does this, which to some might feel like they're making an example out of her, or they may be making a decision that they may not be quite honest about in terms of their motives for it. Is this what is absolutely best for U.S. women's national soccer? And that's the question that we want to ask, and that's the question that we feel is the most relevant to what we're talking about. There's a individual player aspect to it, of course, and you know, Hope Solo fans obviously feel a very certain way about this. But the bottom line is we want the best for the team and for our country when we play on the national stage. So I think there's some things that need to be addressed and discussed in terms of how we move forward and the way that these types of incidents are treated, and hopefully that we can come to maybe a consensus in terms of how they're handled versus, for instance, how they would be handled for the men's team, or how they would be handled for a different sport, because it does seem that there are some differences there. There may be some, I don't know, just some things that we might not know about that are going on as a fan, but we see things from a certain perspective. So, you know, we want to be on the same page with everybody, and so
Absolutely.
we want y'all to obviously research these things, form your own opinions, and let us know what you think about them as well.
Sure. You know, I can have my own personal opinion about this all day. At the end of the day, it comes down to the fact that there is a unanimous U.S. soccer group that supports this team,
Right.
no matter what's going on. Right now, Hope Solo is not a part of that team.
Right.
And I would say to U.S. soccer, to whatever went into this decision making, show me. If you believe it's the right choice, show me.
Right.
Let me see it. I have no doubts in the capabilities of any goalie that can come in. I know they won't be Hope Solo. I have no doubt in the capabilities of someone they'll find. I trust this leadership. But show me to have a reason, because when you knock off someone of 17 years, someone that I grew up watching for the majority of my life and respecting, and I'm not saying this personally, I'm saying this as a fan, now's the time where I've got to see that change as a positive thing. And that's not on Hope Solo. That's on U.S. Soccer.
That's on U.S. Soccer now. We've got to move on as a team, as a club. We've got to go on and do what's best for the team at this point. For right now, at least, that doesn't include Hope Solo. So let's back up what we've done to this point. Let's move forward. Let's be productive. And let's be the best that we can be, whatever that means. And so I have the highest hopes for what we're going to be able to do moving forward. Whether or not that's going to include Hope Solo as our goalie, whether or not she's a part of the team, we're still going to move forward. So it's on U.S. Soccer, and it's on us as fans to support what they're doing. So whether or not you're a Hope Solo fan, let's continue to cheer on our girls, and I'm excited for what we got coming up.
Yeah, and let's not let this be the end of this story.
Of course.
Let's really see what happens with U.S. Soccer in the next coming weeks, and let's see what's going on in the world with men's soccer in the next coming weeks. It's going to be very interesting to see where everyone plays out, and we will catch back up with you, and we'll see what's going on.
All right, so we'll see y'all next time on The Pit.